What's going on, everybody? It's
Ain't got nothing to do with nothing. I just felt like doing that.
Welcome to another episode of Culture 316. I'm one of your hosts and producers, Jordan Ahisi, joined with my guy Banks once again, bro. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, you want me to say something? Hey,
I
people,
know
are
you want
y'all
to say
tired of me
anything.
being on this show?
I'm not. I am not,
Yeah.
for one. I'm not
Am I
tired at all.
basically the
But
new host now?
I'm just listen. At this point, damn near.
All right.
I'm gonna put it like
So
that.
introducing the Culture 316, even though y'all see me numerous times, is Banks. I'm gonna give y'all some bad takes eventually. Eventually, Jordan gonna let me cook, and I'm just gonna say a lot of bad wrestling takes, and then he gonna be like, "I'm canceling the show."
I'm never gonna cancel the show. I am gonna let you cook. But thank y'all so much for joining us once again. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, be sure to rate the show 5 stars. Be sure to subscribe to the show. If you are watching on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. News has been rolling in all week, damn near all day. So we're not even gonna waste any time. We're gonna get right into it. So first things first, we had a weekend of a hot show, of a cold show. Money in the Bank and NXT Heatwave. A lot happened between both events, and I wanted to kind of get your take on what was happening and what you saw.
I watched the Money in the Bank show. I thought it was great. It's not too much I can elaborate on other than it was just really good wrestling. I will say
Mm.
this, and I've been saying this about Seth Rollins, bro. Just go home, dog. I don't know if you don't love your wife or your kids, but just go home. The moves ain't crispy because he don't take a break. It's like, all right, I guess now they about to put him on like a smaller schedule so he can heal
Mm.
up, but that's not how physical sports work. You don't heal up while doing the sport. This ain't basketball. This ain't baseball. Like where it's like, all right, even they sit down, but they try to, back in my day, they'll try to play through it, but they have to sit down. But with a physical
Mm.
combat sport, you have to sit down to completely heal your body,
Mm.
especially football. So, but overall, like I don't really have anything bad to say about the show. I thought it was really good. The Drew thing about him cashing in on the Money in the Bank that night, he said he would do it. A lot of people said it's a waste of the Money in the Bank. Yes and no, because he
Yeah.
already won the title this year. Damian did the same thing to him, so it's kind of karma. We know it's to push the CM Punk angle even more, even though it's no need for it. They've sold tickets
Mm.
for SummerSlam. I'm thinking about going to SummerSlam if I could, get a little wiggle room in my schedule. Uh, so I think that's all it was. As far as Heatwave goes, I thought it was a really good show. That's my first
Mm.
time watching the NXT pay per view in a while. Uh, it's nothing to really elaborate on. I didn't see too many people upset about the Trick situation with Ethan Page.
Mm.
Kind of surprised people, but I feel like at this point it's time for Trick to go up because it's a now or never situation. So you can't really be upset about it because the young fella got a role.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree with your takes from this weekend. I think that both shows were really, really good. I'm At first I was kind of tight that Jay didn't win Money in the Bank, but I feel like
Me too,
using the
brother. You already know I'm an eater.
I really wanted Jay to win, but I actually felt like this method was a little bit better. I feel like this adding fuel to the fire that was CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, and then what was CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Drew McIntyre, I think was the way to go. I also think that the women's Money in the Bank match was really, really good. I really liked the ending of it. Shout outs to Chelsea Green. Whenever WWE decides to do their women's intercontinental or women's United States championship, I believe that she should be the first women's United States or intercontinental champion, whatever the case is. Um, I thought it was a really good show. I thought it was really, really sound. I feel like Toronto really brought it. Obviously, the thing that tugged at my heart the most was John Cena announcing his retirement tour. We saw some, he kind of spoke a little bit during the press conference after the show. We found out more details surrounding it. That essentially he kind of said it. Everything up until WrestleMania Vegas is the last. So it's going to be his last Royal Rumble, his last Elimination Chamber, his last WrestleMania is going to the next WrestleMania is going to be the last WrestleMania. Um, and everything in between, it's just planning to be his last. It looks like he's going to have a heavy presence on WWE Raw once they move over to Netflix, which is great because it gives them an opportunity to really establish the program with some pretty hot feuds and some pretty hot matches, especially with Cena being on there, especially with all the money that Netflix paid WWE for their live broadcasting rights. So I thought that was definitely interesting. I definitely wanted to know before I give my take on Heatwave, um, how if you had to choose John Cena's last opponent, who would it be?
I think by default you got to go with Randy Orton because
Mm,
anybody else, it's like, can they carry him in a match? I think this is 4 years too late, and this is coming from Jordan knows, and a lot of people that know me personally. I'm a huge John Cena mark. Like he's definitely in my top three favorite wrestlers of all time. So come hell or high water, I'll be at that WrestleMania. Ironically, it's home number 2 or 3, so to speak, being in Vegas. So
mm,
I'll definitely be there. It has to be Randy Orton. Some people said CM Punk, but even CM Punk at this point, it's hard for him to carry a match because he's injury prone.
mm.
We've seen the past 4 years, like the on and off stuff. It was like, yeah, man, you shouldn't have called it back then. Hell, he probably could have called it, well, 3 years ago, but he shouldn't have called it in 2020. It's
Yeah,
just people get old. I think we fail to realize that because we've been watching these, icon figures for. Yeah, he been in the business what 20. He was in the E 22 years ago. So we've
22
been
years.
seeing, and then we fail to realize like when we see LeBron, and then
Mm,
LeBron has looked old the past couple seasons, 3 seasons. Like yeah, you'll see spots of him being LeBron for the first couple games, but then he'll
yeah,
get slow. It's just
yeah.
Father Time is undefeated. No matter how many supplements or regimens you take, that's just what it is. But it has to be Randy Orton. I feel like one more time, one last time would be great just because they've had one of the greatest rivalries of all time. Otherwise, that I can't see anybody else. I thought about Taker for a minute. Like, can you do that? But I
Yeah,
think he's cooked as
I don't think so.
well. It's I mean, Curtis cooked. Kurt is not even in shape. Like Kurt lost a lot of weight too. God bless him. So I
Mm,
think by default we got to go with Randy because yeah, I don't. I mean, Gunther is what people want for WrestleMania. I think he can carry him in a match if we do it at WrestleMania.
mm. I actually agree with you. Actually, John Cena versus Randy Orton is the rivalry that defined ruthless aggression. When we talk about the greatest products from that era, it's John Cena, it's Randy Orton, and it's Batista. And so I feel like in that case, it's only right for you to close it out with Cena and Orton. I think that I can see Cena and Punk as well, but if they do a match, I feel like it's going to be on Raw as opposed to it being at
Yeah,
WrestleMania, especially with, Raw trying to establish itself on Netflix. I feel like that would be a good way to kind of add to that library. So I can see Cena, Punk for Raw, and I can see Cena Orton for the last WrestleMania in Vegas. Now, on to Heatwave, because I thought it was super interesting that Trick Williams lost the NXT championship. Because can you make the argument that he's being called up? Yes. I don't think it's about Trick, though. I think this is about Ethan Page. More specifically, this was about the message that WWE was trying to send AEW wrestlers who may be in question of, not in question, but may have the desire to jump from one company to the next. You look at the main roster, the face of the company is a former EVP of AEW. He's the WWE Undisputed Champion. He's Cody Rhodes. You look at NXT, the face of NXT is one of the guys in AEW who was arguably underutilized. Let's just put it like that. He was underutilized. The guy can talk, he has the look, he has the feel. I feel like this was a message to AEW to say, hey, regardless of where you are on the roster, if you think if you come over to WWE that you're going to have to lose yourself, that's not the case. You can be all ego Ethan Page. You can be the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, which were gimmicks that were used in AEW. You can be that over here.
Yeah.
And on top of that, with the way that they're treating TNA, like if we look at how AEW treated TNA, yes, Kenny Omega was the TNA world champion. Anytime Tony Khan had some ad space on Impact, he didn't necessarily have the nicest things to say about AEW, about TNA. But now we're seeing how the Rascals reunited on NXT. We're seeing Joe Hendry pop up on Tuesday and get the pin in the main event, a clean pin at that. They are trying to reshape their reputation amongst wrestling companies outside of WWE so that they can do business with more people, whether it's business with more wrestlers or business with more companies. And I feel like that is what Ethan Page winning that title was more so about than anything. It's about the message that they're trying to send. Other than that, though, I thought Heatwave was great. I thought it was a lot of fun. I feel like Obafemi is fantastic. He's my
Yeah.
favorite champion in the NXT ecosystem. Also, Sol Ruka, Kehlani Jordan, Chef's Kiss. Like them
Yeah.
girl, like if you ever needed proof that the PC works, that was proof. Those are two homegrown talents. They're not empty talents. But I thought it was just an amazing. I thought it was a week. I thought it was a good weekend of wrestling. So I want to know how everybody else feels about Money in the Bank and NXT Heatwave. Leave your comments below. But we're gonna get into more stories in WWE because the night after Heatwave, we saw the return of Rhea Ripley. Obviously, she was out for a couple months, I think since the night after Mania. And Liv Morgan has been on her revenge tour, beating Becky Lynch for the World Heavyweight title or the Women's World title, right? And kind of been closing in on Dom and helping Judgment Day with their specific accolades and things of that nature. And literally, what felt like the climax of Liv and Dom, Liv got Dom to fold in the middle of the ring. You saw Rhea come out. I want to know, what impact does it have that Rhea Ripley is now back in WWE, back on Raw, arguably back inserted into the Women's World title picture?
Well, first of all, if it was me and she pulled up on me like that, if I was Dom, I would have just tried to kiss her hand. But I'm a fan. I'm a fan, respectfully. Uh, I think this works in the context of now it puts Dom over. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to put him over. It puts everybody over, but now adds to him. Like, as soon as that ended, he went into archives. That's what he does great. He's a hell of a marketer. And I'm not saying this because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Dominic Mark. He was like, he put that Bill Clinton, I did not have sexual relations with that woman video. So the kid is really good at marketing. He put that up ASAP. So this just helps all three of them, but more so with Dom again because people keep talking about him more than ever. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
still, you notice in the past couple of weeks or since his programming has been going on, he'll get them crazy boos, but more so he been getting pops now. So
Yeah.
it's showing him, potentially in the future being a baby face, which I think he can do both. When he first started out, obviously he was a baby face with his pops, but he was just
Yeah.
getting whooped on, and that was it.
Yeah.
But I think him as a baby face in the future helps out a lot more.
I agree. I think that Dom, first of all, we cannot say that Dom is successful because of his dad anymore. He's deviated so far from the Mysterio identity that he is his own person. He is his own character, in my opinion. In addition to that, I feel like this positions Dom this positions Dom to be a better heel because I feel like men in pro wrestling who present the perspective that they are desirable tend to be more hated. That's part of the reason why Eddie Guerrero was so hated when he first came into WWE, and you know what I mean? Like he had this aura around him that he was a desirable man. And so I feel like when you have a Liv and a Rhea kind of fighting over Dom, it only positions Dom to be a better heel because it positions him as a more desirable man because look who's around him. So I think that that's a very, very key thing. The second thing regarding that is I don't think that Liv Morgan has ever been hotter as far as her popularity than she is right now. Um, this story is probably one of the best. I would position it right behind the Bloodline story. It's one of the best stories that we've seen out of WWE in the past couple years because it's so fluid, it makes sense, and I feel like it positions her as a heel perfectly, kind of similar to Dom. It positions her as a heel to the point where you almost forgot how dominant Rhea Ripley was because we've been so focused on how conniving Liv Morgan is. And then that puts into question when they actually have that match for that world title, who is going to win? Because while Rhea may be more physically dominant, Liv, through her character work, has shown that she could be more strategic, that she can pick apart a group from the inside out, and that she can do certain things to throw off the balance of certain people and certain individuals. And I don't even know what's next. I don't know if Liv and Finn are going to be a thing, or Liv, Finn, and JD are going to be a thing, and they're going to break apart from Judgment Day. I don't know if I don't know, and I think that's one of the reasons why this is one of the best stories that we've seen. And then obviously with Rhea is one of WWE stars, and I think that people forget about that. People forget the star power that Rhea Ripley brings to Monday Night Raw. She is obviously an incredible wrestler, told incredible stories. She has had some really good moments. However, more importantly, in the public eye at least, she's a sex symbol. Bunch of women, same thing with Roman Reigns, right? There's a whole bunch of men and women that I know do not watch wrestling nor will watch wrestling, but they love them some Rhea Ripley. And now with the return of her to Monday Night Raw, you're going to get eyes on the product that probably would not have been there if she was not there. So I think that Rhea Ripley returning means business is booming for WWE, and it's right in time. We're in the middle of July. SummerSlam is on the horizon, and it looks like we're going to get some big matches. So I want to know how everybody else feels about Rhea Ripley returning to Monday Night Raw. However, we're going to be moving on because as one woman debuts in WWE, another woman leaves or is released from another major wrestling company because it was announced today that CJ Perry and AEW are parting ways. Now, CJ was last seen on screen as a part of an angle with Miro, formerly known as Rusev, who just so happens to be her ex-husband. And they were in a program, and then she just kind of disappeared off of TV. And now it looks like she is departing. I want to know, do you feel like she's going to make her way back to WWE? Or is this it? Are we not going to see CJ Perry ever again in pro wrestling?
I think if they feel like it's a spot for her, she should go back. Honestly, I think
Mm.
she can do something over here. You see, like Chelsea Green is over as far as personality, and
Mm-hmm.
ring wise, she's gotten a little bit better. We never want to see, CJ really work. So Lana, aka Lana, we never really want to see her work. But I think if you want her to go over there and just add to that women's division, which she can, because the women's division is growing. But if you
Yeah.
want more storyline, you can add her. She has a look to her that's marketable. And going to Netflix again, you bring her over there, it's a good look. And I mean, if you want
Yeah.
to do that despite her husband for going over there when he was popping off, when the E had him more over than AEW, he been with AEW for 4 years. He ain't did but 3 matches
Yeah.
in AEW. So, and he was popping off like most people that went over there. So, if you want to do that despite him, you can. I think it works out. Bobby Lashley ain't over there no more, so that's unfortunate.
Hold on. I don't know what was going on. My bad. Had to just turn something off. As you were?
That's fine. No, that's it. I think if you want to have her go over there and run that Bobby Lashley story back, that'd be great.
Absolutely not. I do not
Bring
need to see that
Omar
again.
through.
No, 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 not Dr. Umar. I don't need nobody pointing out the Snow Bunny crisis in the WWE
Brother,
storyline. But
every time I see
here,
Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, he is more upset with me than he knows.
but here's what I will say about Lana, CJ Perry, I should say. I think
Now
that
she'll be
she is
Lana
a
when she go back.
she. You think she should be Lana?
No, she won't. Vince ain't there no more. He would have made her not even Russian. He probably would have made her North Korean.
Yeah, North Korean is crazy. But here's what I will say. I feel like CJ is a phenomenal manager. I think that as a mouthpiece, she really excels. Obviously, she has a look to her. She can go in the ring, but that's pause. But I feel like she is a great manager. I feel like she is an incredible mouthpiece, and I feel like you can pair her with somebody, probably reinvigorate her character that so that she kind of, even though she was known as Lana, you can have her be more CJ Perry than she was Lana. And you could have more of her, like her real self come out. And I just feel like there's a lot of potential of CJ potentially returning to WWE. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like she would be open to it. And I feel like you can bring her back and integrate her into a role that, you know, obviously she was closely tied to Rusev or Miro, but I feel like you can bring her back in a way where she's kind of a refreshed version of herself, kind of similar to like how Cody was when he came back. You bring him back and he's just Cody and he's himself. I feel like you could do the same thing with Lana, but we'll actually see what happens. But we're gonna keep on the topic of AEW because this is something that heavily intrigued me was Mariah May finally turning heel on Tony Storm. We had the Owen Hart Cup final this past Wednesday on Dynamite. They're skipping up the ring. They're skipping up the ramp after Mariah beats Willow. And as they get to the top of the ramp, we see Mariah take that Owen Hart belt and beat her with it, beat Luther with it, use the high heel shoe that, Tony's been known for using, beating her with it. Somebody pointed this out on the internet that, Tony used to say, watch out for the shoe, watch out for the shoe. And it was the shoe that bloodied her and that kind of solidified this end of this relationship between Mariah and Tony. And then we see Tony bloodied, battered. We see Mariah kind of smiling with some of Tony's blood on her face. Even the post-match exclusive showed a more sadistic side of her. I wanted to know how you felt about this because I feel like we've been super critical of AEW and their ability to tell stories. I felt like this was extremely well told, but I want to know your input.
I don't know who came up with this, who booked it, who wrote it, but they need to do that with every single program in AEW. That's how you begin a program, and that's how you get the heel over to eventually have Tony get a big babyface comeback that she needs because she's been a heel for so long. Now we get to see her as a babyface. That's exactly how you book a program. That's how you do it. You come in with instant heel heat. Mariah May is now about to have her and Tony Storm will have a program going on, and people will probably be watching AEW. Their ratings might spike up a little bit because of this. If this don't help, then it's for show over. But this is how you get the ratings up because y'all are obsessed with ratings. The
Mm.
women in AEW have been saving that program, that
Yeah.
promotion. They've been saving them. From Willow and Chris Statlander they're having her stuff. Mercedes, when she decides to work every 3 months, people are watching. They have nothing else really going on outside the women's division. But whoever came up with this, A plus man. This is the best thing they've done this year thus far. And again, whoever did this booked the entire show this way.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think that, like you said, the women are the current strong point of AEW programming, in my opinion, because you have Mercedes and Britt with the TBS title. You have Tony and Mariah uh on this world title. And then you have Willow and Chris, kind of not necessarily a mid-card feud, but it's one of those feuds that are fueled by the aspiration, or I should say it's one of those feuds that are fueled by championship aspirations, right? And so because of that, it has value to it. In addition to the fact that there's a personal undertone to it, right? But I feel like when it comes down to this particular heel turn, it was so interesting because they opened the show with Bryan Danielson and Hangman Adam Page. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. This is interesting that this is ending as happily as it is, right? And then I was like, well, if this is a happy ending, whatever happens next is probably going to be a tragic one. And lo and behold, and I think that this also puts, this also reinforces the value of the shot that you end on in a show. right? Like, what is your ending shot? That ending shot of Mariah at the top of the ramp with blood on her face, the the high heel shoe next to Toni Storm's face, her smiling, that is an ending shot that matters. That is a shot that tells a story. And I think that the simple things like that are things that enhance your stories in pro wrestling. I feel like with this particular feud, I do find it ironic because Toni Storm was on a press conference a couple months ago because I think that she was tired of hearing about people saying that AEW needs to tell more stories or the women's division needs to tell more stories. And they were like, if you want a story, go watch a movie and da 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 da. I'm referencing coding and stuff like that. However, arguably, Tony's biggest moment in AEW currently is at the hands of a well-told story. So it's like, are we does she get it now? Maybe she's always gotten it and this was just always the plan and she just didn't want to tell us. But I think that this is how you, like you said, this is how you start a program. This is how you get a heel over. This is how you also create a new star. When Mariah May came in, she was a highly touted signing. But this is the difference between a highly touted signing and a star, right? This is the difference between signing a new talent and developing her into a star. At the end of all of this, I believe that she will be a star because of, and this is the beginning. Well, when she came in was the beginning, but this is the turning point that is going to solidify her. So I think that it was very, very well done. I think it was great. But I want to know what everybody else feels about Mariah May turning heel on Toni Storm. Let us know in the comments below. In addition to women, with the WWE, it just seems as if the rich are getting richer because this past week it was official. Stephanie Vaquer signed with the WWE. She was holding titles with New Japan Pro Wrestling and CMLL, and she is now headed to WWE as Shawn Michaels, I believe, confirmed, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on it. But I want to know how you felt about this signing and how do you feel about the women's division in WWE now?
So I'll go back to what was reported earlier today as well. Jacob Fatu, I think they said something about a border lawyer. I'm probably, misquoting it, but they helped him, because of his past legal problems, get over the border. Stay
Mm,
with me. With her, if you know anything about her backstory, it's not her citizenship that I'm alluding to. It's a lot of personal stuff with her
mm,
boyfriend and domestic violence, and it's also stuff relating to how do you come under these say them people, that real gang in Mexico. Yeah, because he's affiliated with them, he has favoritism with them. She's in trouble, not on her fault, but because of that. If y'all want to understand what I'm saying, I'm trying to say it, trying to keep it PG between the lines, but yeah, go. It's some deep stuff, and it's all because her boyfriend. But in the words of Kendrick, I think people like him should, you know, like he was talking about Meet the Grams. But so going to the E, I think helps her more than going to AEW.
yeah,
Not saying that Tony can't get the right people, obviously, because he a billionaire, but I don't think his mindset is it show, and it's no disrespect to him. It's not calling him stupid, but his mindset probably wouldn't be like a WWE where they can get her the right protection and get her in the right areas
yeah,
because it is a multi billion dollar company in the past year. Also, I think this helps her too because if you want to just pro wrestle, that's fine. You've done that. You've done that at
that's very true.
CMLL. You just did it with AEW, so it's like cool. But when you see her, like when I saw her in person, I said, "Oh man!" So she pops up, in your eye. And it's first of all, two people. If y'all want to see lucha wrestlers, that's a lot. Women lucha wrestlers, they about right too. They about right. So I think for her to go to the E, it works out perfectly fine. She's more marketable over there. I think they do need more Latin workers, or not need, but they should want more Latin workers right now. And then
Yeah.
obviously she going to NXT, so she'll be head above shoulders of most of the women workers and men workers over there as well. So she probably be there for a cup of coffee. But I think this works out best for her because again, that women's division, they almost there. They just need a couple more pieces.
The funny part about it, I didn't even know about all that stuff that you just mentioned earlier. But the funny part about it is that we're making these signings. Julia hasn't even debuted yet. And when I saw when I saw Stephanie being signed, I was like, we haven't even experienced Julia yet. Which means that we're saying like the NXT women's division is a couple pieces away, or the WWE women's division is a couple pieces away. They got them pieces. I feel like they got those pieces tucked, but it's just about doing it the right way. I feel like Hunter is a little bit more strategic and he's more careful with the international talent that he brings in. We saw it in how he treated Asuka when she was in NXT. And I feel like we're getting shades of that now with Stephanie as well as Julia. But I don't feel like I don't feel like the division is a couple pieces away. I feel like they have the pieces. They just have to be on TV. And once they are on TV, it's going to be a different ball game. It's going to be a different ball game. And be aware. You still have Jade, you still have Bianca. Charlotte is injured or whatever. She's taking the time, but you still have your stars, right? You still have your women's stars. And then you also have these pieces that are just playing the background. So I think this is a major signing for WWE. I feel like within the next couple of years, we're going to see a second or third WWE Women's Revolution that's going to be centered around these talents that they're bringing in now. And I think it's super exciting. But I want to know how everybody else feels about this, about the signing of Stephanie Vaquer. Let us know in the comments below. But we're going to be moving on. Now, I don't know who's into video games, but it seems as if WWE is partnering up with Call of Duty. And they look like according to reports, it says that Call of Duty announced that WWE is bringing its best to the ring in Call of Duty Season 5 starting July 24th. As a gamer, I'll lean on you for this, but as a gamer, how big is this that WWE is partnering up with Call of Duty?
They got me. What Drewski said, you got me, dude. I ain't bought a Call of Duty since 2019, and I kind of got it for free
Hmm.
because I used to work for Activision. But yeah, so I got it for free, so I technically didn't buy it. They got me.
Hmm.
I've actually been looking at the new one that's coming up in October as well. If y'all want to do the story, I know this ain't Gamer Tag Radio, but if y'all want to look up what's the premise of it, even though it's Black Ops 2, 5, 8, 21, and they keep renaming them, I'm all sold. So when I saw that, the little teaser, I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna tap in on this one, but the one in October, I'm really sold on. But yeah, man, hey, WWE is on a whole nother level. I mean, Ben said it, the old man said it before he got up out of here. Well, he's still here, I think. I don't know, but he said he wanted to make it Disney. They
Hmm.
almost there. They
They're
got
almost
Disney.
there.
They ain't got Disney money, but they got something like it. I'll take
Hmm.
1% of Disney or WWE money right now. That'll change my life.
Will literally change everyone's life. I think that this is kind of a byproduct. You know what? And this is something that a lot of people like. Let me start it off by saying this. I'll approach it from a business standpoint, right? Not even from a gamer standpoint. I'll approach it from a business standpoint. Nick Khan has been an absolute game changer for WWE because I believe that in addition to the fact that he has been able to be the rational voice to clean up some of the things internally, he's also been the bridge for a lot of things externally, or is the foundation for the bridge of WWE externally, right? And so part of what he was able to successfully do is build this successful relationship with fanatics. Shout outs to Michael Rubin, all of them. Now, Michael Rubin said something very, very interesting. He said, the WWE fan base is very unique and very, very powerful. He said, I wouldn't compare it to the NFL, but there's something special. Now, this is happening right on the heels of Fanatics Fest, which will be in New York, August 16th through August 18th. And there's a whole slew of WWE superstars that are going to be present there. CM Punk being one of them. John Cena, I believe, is another one. Drew McIntyre is going to be another one. And so when you have somebody like a Michael Rubin advocating on your brand saying that you guys are difference makers, it's going to perk up a lot of ears that probably were not listening to them before. And I feel like that's what we're experiencing now. I feel like business leaders are starting to realize the power of pro wrestling money and pro wrestling superstars. And I believe that they're trying to take full advantage of it. And that's the reason why we're seeing, you know, WWE and Call of Duty collaborating, because it's like that, you know, this is what happens when you're the biggest in the world. This is what happens when you have a cultural impact. So, not surprised about it. I'm very excited to see what comes of it. To all the gamers out there, I want to know how y'all feel about it. With WWE and Call of Duty collaborating, let us know in the comments below. Now, I was scrolling because I saw something. There was a couple things that I saw, and we're going to talk about them one after the next because technically that was our last topic. But two things. Number one, it says, Fightful has reported that it looks like they have settled in or are closing in on a city for Survivor Series 2024. And it looks like this year they will be doing it in Los Angeles, specifically at the newly built Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California, right down the block from SoFi, right down the block from the Forum. Want to know, are you in favor of this move, and do you believe that they should move forward with it?
I ain't been home since last September, so they got to give me a reason. So absolutely, I'll be there. Cause, hey, bro, the Dodgers, not Dodgers. I'm tripping. The Clippers. Well, they was. Anyhow, the Clipper tickets about to be the same price as they used to be at the LA Sports Arena when I was growing up. All right,
I'm weak.
even when they went to the Staples Center in '06 when they had Sam Cassell, uh, damn, I was about to say Quentin Richardson. Yeah, it was Quentin Richardson.
Yeah,
No, was it Quentin Richardson? No, Corey McGetty. I'm tripping.
yeah.
Quentin Richardson. It was Corey McGetty, Sam Cassell, Michael Oliver Candy. All right, and Elton Brand when they made the playoffs in '06. That's how much the ticket's gonna be here. All right, because Kawhi barely gonna play. Kawhi's my guy, but he barely gonna play. So they need some money. Or
Mm,
well, they don't need money because of Steve Ballmer. But y'all get what I mean.
yeah,
But I'm all in favor for it. I'll definitely be there. Once they announce and tickets go on sale, I'll be there. I plan on being at Bad Blood. I hate to put my business out, but I plan on being at Bad Blood because it's gonna be in Atlanta. But for show in November, I'll be there at home. That gives me a reason to go to that arena because I don't want to see the Clippers play. So hey, they gonna make some. It's November too.
yeah. They're
It's
gonna make some
November in
money.
LA. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where a lot of people that got houses out there when they don't want to be in the East Coast, they come to LA
yeah.
during that time in Florida. So yeah, they'll make some money, and I'll be there. I've never been to a Survivor Series.
I think I'm. I mean, I'm. I think everybody in LA is kind of, even though not everyone in LA is necessarily big on the Clippers. Obviously, you have the Lakers here and stuff like that. But there is a lot of interest surrounding the Intuit Dome. The tech and it is incredible. The location is dope considering that you have SoFi in the Forum there. And I feel like anytime there's a new building, WWE does its due diligence to rush in and establish a presence right away and establish some prestige or some honor in there right away. I mean, we can talk about soon as the Barclays went up, WWE was in there to the point where you would have thought that that was their home. But WWE's home is the Garden. But nevertheless, they got into the Barclays Center and they made sure they had events. They established a presence, made sure that this was part of their territory. And I feel like this is going to be the same thing, right? They're going to go into the Intuit Dome. They're going to create some moments. They're going to create some moments. They're going to do some cool things. And considering what we're experiencing with the Bloodline storyline, I think that this is the perfect time. I think this is the perfect time to create something special because you got a whole bunch of Cali in the Bloodline.
Hey, I was just about to say that, and they Samoans, and you know where
Yeah.
all the Samoans at? Hawthorne, which is right over there in Inglewood.
Yep.
That's down
Yep.
the street, and then Gardena, that's down the street. Then Carson,
Right.
405. So
Yep.
yeah, they might want to make that move.
I'm not. And speaking of Samoans, and this is the perfect segue. Speaking of Samoans, it was also reported by, I believe, WrestleVotes that Roman Reigns will be slated to return for this year's SummerSlam. The aura is back. The OG is back. Do you feel like this is a good move? Should Roman come back so soon, or do you think that there needs to be some time? so that this new bloodline can, have some accomplishments under their belt.
What accomplishments? They can't even make third team
Third team is
with this
crazy.
squad. Bruh, they for sure the Charlotte Hornets right now.
Oh
And
my
I don't
god.
even know if they got LaMelo. I can't even say Jacob is LaMelo because LaMelo is a cold player, but damn. I don't know who to say they are right now. A bad team with a great player. It ain't too many in today's NBA. But I will say, yeah, my tribal chief needs to come back. But if he want to take months off, he can do that. Obviously, he just filmed a movie. He lost his spots, which is more important. But if he feel like he ready to come back, he is. He gonna be on the same type of schedule he been on the past couple of years. So, and in May, June, July, that's like a 5 month break from TV. I think that's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then the story. And then if they do this, if he is coming back next month, they probably like, we kind of run out of ideas with this current bloodline joint, so he might want to come back because this solo thing ain't really working out like we probably thought it would.
Mm.
But if it was me, I'm biased because again, most of them, I don't know. I think the Tonga brothers, they from the island. I think they actually from the island of Tonga, but obviously Solo, and then it goes without saying with Jacob, because hell, he is Cali on 1,000 from the way he talk and the way he act. But if it was up to me, because I am biased and Jacob is my guy, I make him the tribal chief tomorrow, and then have him and Roman Reigns have a program, which may happen. We don't know what's gonna happen. They might
Right.
actually switch up and do that because, yeah, little by little in the past couple of weeks, like, oh, this Jacob Fatu dude is the real deal. And I'm like, yeah, I've been saying it for years. So, Roman come back. He come back, but he got to get. We know the Usos got to get back to right. So it's
Yeah.
like you got a month to make that story. You got to do
I,
something with that because it can't just be him by himself coming back.
literally. That's the reason why I was saying they should have some time. Like when I say they should have some time to get some accomplishments under their belt, I'm not saying that they are accomplished already. I'm saying like give God the tag titles for a little bit, right? Give Jacob a US or Intercontinental title for a little bit. Reason being is because of the Bloodlines run. You think about it like this: Roman was the longest reigning champion of the modern era. The Usos became the longest reigning tag team champions ever, right? And then Solo tagged along, and even Solo was a North American champion. Sammy ended up being a tag team champion and an Intercontinental champion after that. Paul Heyman became a Hall of Famer. When you look at the bloodline that was before it folded, it was arguably one of the most accomplished and decorated factions of all time. Which means that if you wanted to pit this new bloodline against the old bloodline, and it has some meaning, I feel like they need gold too. They need titles too. So that's the reason why I was like, give them a little bit more time. And that way they can collect their gold. Jay could do his singles run. Roman could take off the time that he needs. Jimmy could heal up. And by the time it's time to butt heads, right? By the time that it's time to butt heads, it's like you don't even know who's gonna win because yes, Roman and the Usos and Sammy have had this run, but this new bloodline has a run too, and it may be dominant or like it may be more dominant or just as dominant as the old one. So that's like my take, but but I am glad that Roman is coming back because man, once again, like you don't know what you have until it's gone. And Roman was the guy. Roman was the guy. He was everything that he said he was and more.
They called me a
Like,
madman. As soon as they put that title on Cody, I told people I tapped out of wrestling. I'm
yeah,
just now coming back because of the Dominic and Liv storyline and Jacob Fatu. Otherwise, and the stuff that Jay does. But
yeah,
otherwise than that, dog, it ain't the same. I
it's
keep
not.
trying to tell y'all, it ain't the same.
But I feel like people, but once again, the whole point of a heel being a heel, and part of the reason why heel runs are so interesting is because they say all this stuff, and then after the fact, you realize it was true. Roman was everything that he said that he was. But I want to know how everybody else feels. Should Roman Reigns return at SummerSlam? Let us know in the comments below. But once again, thank y'all so much for tuning in to this episode of Culture. Banks, per usual. Thank you, bro. And once again, we'll see y'all next week.
I ain't
Not
even
the.
play.
I was like, now you be the Q dog.